a-1vacuum.com or call 651-222-6316.
Better Futures Minnesota's Reuse Warehouse has big news. We have a brand new online store. Check out reusebfm.com. This is a great way to see what we carry in the Reuse Warehouse: appliances, building materials, kitchen and bath fixtures, lighting, flooring, lumber, heating and cooling items. Don't miss the beautiful benches and COVID safety shields that are hand-built using reclaimed wood from our deconstruction projects. Check out reusebfm.com. That's reusebfm as in betterfuturesminnesota.com.
There are things that we experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in a corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us, share your story, share your evidence, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is Ghostbox Radio.
And this is Ghostbox Radio on AM 950, where every week we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, or just the unusual. My name is Greg Bakken, and thank you very much for joining me today on this not so sun like surface of the sun feeling that we've had in Minnesota for the past week or so. It's actually where you don't go outside and burn alive. So that's a good thing, isn't it? It's a good start. Now, I hope everyone had a good week. I am very happy right now, as it's been a while since we had a really good conversations about UFOs on the show. There's someone I've wanted to have on my show for some time, and there are a couple of topics I've also wanted to talk about too. And today, like a Reese's peanut butter cup, the chocolate and peanut butter merged to create the perfect show, or so we're hoping. As an active leader in UFO and ancient artifact investigation, Chase Klotsky employs a diverse set of skills and professional techniques known as the gold standards. Her work concludes admissible inquiry, property case management, and scientific conclusions. A former Department of Defense employee and schooled and certified as a former private investigator, Chase consistently demonstrates the knowledge, technical requirements, legal parameters, and commitment to evidence-based investigations using the latest technologies and methods as professional law enforcement officials in a modern and forward-moving scientific environment. Chase holds a tested certification in international forensic and evidence collections, holding memberships and the credentials of CPES through the International Association for Property and Evidence. She joined the Mutual UFO Network in 1996 and was selected as the STAR Team Manager and Deputy Director of Investigations through 2011. She was responsible for the program design, protocols, and investigation procedures for a National Rapid Response Unit. This position includes supervision of the most experienced investigators and access to the most sensitive and complex cases reported to MUFON. Chase designed the coveted Special Assignment Team, SAT, which became the highest level of investigation in MUFON. This is Tier 4 small and elite team of investigators. Chase became the director of investigations in 2018, has since resigned her position in MUFON to pursue evidence and scientific investigations and to engage the lawmakers in D.C. with a focus on national security. In 2016, Chase became a registered and official lobbyist for the UFO field. This goal was realized through progressive understanding that to truly influence change and offer knowledgeable commentary on the realities of the UFO phenomenon, we must conclude our nation's elected and the very people that are trusted as our lawmakers. Chase, welcome to Ghostbox Radio.
Greg, I'm so happy to be with you tonight. This is awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to invite all of our listeners to join into the conversation. To do so, to ask a question to Chase Klotsky, you can call in at 952-946-6205. That's 952-946-6205. Or email us a comment or question. The email address for the station is comment@am950radio.com. We are live on AM 950 radio, but also streaming video on the following Facebook pages. You can watch us on AM 950, Things Network, MN Ghostbox, Free Spirited Network, RU Media, Skeleton Key Network, and Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. So please go there and support those pages too. Feel free to leave questions on any of those pages you're watching from, as I am monitoring the comments on those pages too. I want to talk about a couple things today that have fascinated me for a while. Two of them being the Battle of LA in 1942 and UFOs over Washington, D.C., including the U.S. Capitol in 1953. Chase, you know, I was just watching you today, I think on the program UFO, The Lost Evidence, and that's where I wanted to watch again. That this incredible moment in history soon after Japanese attack Pearl Harbor, you have this very strange incident in Los Angeles. What happened there?
This is one of my favorite cases, and I'll tell you why. Because there were hundreds of thousands of witnesses, there was military interaction, and of course there was a cover-up. So this is really started way before Roswell. And I think this is a better case than Roswell because there was only a handful of people that handled Roswell. So I love it. So I'm grateful to talk about it. But on February 25th, like you said, 1942, right after, just a few months after Pearl Harbor was bombed, 3 radar stations tracked this unknown object that was just kind of moving from like Santa Monica and ended up going all the way south to Long Beach. But right now they're in this area about LA, and witnesses, thousands of witnesses, describe a huge orange round thing just kind of traveling. And air raid sirens went off because they were on high alert. Day before, they had Japanese submarine actually fire on California coast, and this was in Elwood, and there was nobody hurt, not minimal damage, but you can imagine like the fear of the citizens living there at this time. I mean, it's remarkable. But what happened is military fired upon this object, eventually sending off 1,400 ammunition. This munition, it was just crazy. And many witnesses saw the explosions and the bombs hitting the object, and it did nothing to it. So that's kind of like the big overview, but I love this case.
Yeah, I mean, what's interests me about it, first of all, is kind of perhaps how fickle we are in time, in the sense that it was pretty much a pretty big deal back in the day, but I mean, apart from people who follow UFOs or something, it's really a footnote now, isn't it? I mean, like you said, it to me, it's also more interesting than Roswell, but at the same time, you don't ever really hear about this, opposed to the amount of press that Roswell still gets to this day.
We have to remember, at this period of time, we just declared war in Japan. People are still reeling and seething over Pearl Harbor. We just got hit by Japanese submarine. The patriotism alone was like high alert. I mean, it was a different time and a different place almost, but people were very patriotic there. And if the government said shut up or don't believe your lying eyes, they didn't believe their lying eyes.
Now, one thing too that I thought I read somewhere was that soon after that, President Roosevelt put out a memo regarding the nuclear power of such crafts. And I'm just curious, do you believe that our entrance into the nuclear age is brought on by any sort of alien, any technology from alien?
I honestly, I don't. I really believe that this was a race of arms, and just, humans had done this. And, so whether like ancient aliens claim that these guys, Oppenheimer and, Einstein and all them were fed this information from extraterrestrials, I have no proof of that. And Greg, I'm all about evidence and things that we can prove, or things that have the common sense behind them, like 100,000 witnesses.
Well, and the thing too is, and I do watch Ancient Aliens and I find it fascinating. But if you go off of the Ancient Alien side of thing, they are responsible for virtually everything in our lives, which I find that a little much to take personally. I mean, maybe, but I don't think the fact that I can, it just is kind of crazy a little bit.
Yeah, and I did an episode on Ancient Aliens, and it's entertainment, so let's be entertained.
Right. Exactly. I'm gonna believe the quarter pounder of cheese came from aliens as well. So why not?
Right?
Well, I mean, Ronald McDonald probably is alien. I'd like to think so, at least. So when it comes to the Battle of LA, what we have, that kind of that iconic photo that was touched up with all of like the lights on this craft, and it just looks like it was, I think, what a time exposed photo. So there's like the ammunitions that is all around it, but I understand that being run in a newspaper, that was touched up a bit. Do we have any other visual evidence or anything else that was like the untouched version of that photo?
I am aware that there is the original photo, allegedly. So, but I haven't had a chance to really investigate the origin and if that's really true. What we do know is that LA went into full blackout. The sirens went off, the air raid sirens went off, and they just shut the electricity off. So it was completely black. You can imagine at 3 a.m. hearing this going on outside. People were walking outside. Munitions are falling all over LA, people's backyards. I mean, this was something that it was a no joke. They saw something and they fired on it. They were given permission to do so. So, how it goes after that is, and the explanation was, it was a false alarm. Well, too many witnesses were like, they're not buying it. And they immediately, or not a little well after, but changed it to, guess what? A weather balloon, which was the same as used a few years later, 5 years later at Roswell.
It's absolutely incredible. Why don't we do this? Let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with author, international UFO forensic investigator, Chase Klotsky. You are listening to Ghost Box Radio on AM 950.
Hi, my name is Pamela Topchian. I'm a former nurse, published author, and board-certified hypnotherapist with hypnobreakthrough.com. Do you feel stuck in a rut? Finding yourself wondering if this is all there is to life? Tired of just existing? Hypno Breakthrough can help you to reduce stress, release fears, gain confidence, and reach your life's goals holistically, mindfully, and gently. So I ask you, what changes would you like to see in your life? Let's talk about it. Contact me, Pamela Topchian, board certified hypnotherapist, to schedule your free consultation, which includes a complimentary stress-reducing sample session, so you can see how it feels for yourself before any commitments are made. Go to hypnobreakthrough.com for all the information. That's hypnobreakthrough.com.
Hello, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Now my show will be on Saturdays from 10 to 11 and replayed on Sundays from 1 to 2. You will get to the best of Ellie 2.0 with talking about idealism, with guests who come in and who are idealistic, who are trying to change the world, and you will get me, Super Idealist. Tune in. We can't wait to hear from you, and you'll hear from me Saturdays from 10 to 11.
Have you heard about the District Edina? Well, if you haven't, you're in for a treat. The District Edina is the Twin Cities' newest and most exciting destination for all things home design and remodeling. If you're looking for flooring or window treatments, furnishings, a builder to handle a remodel or an addition, kitchen or bath work, or even original fine art, you will find it at the District Edina. The District Edina, 7777 Washington Avenue South, and online at, wait for it, thedistrictedina.com.
Hi, this is Laura, and I want to tell you about my family's favorite thing. It's our wood stove. We bought it about 14 years ago from Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. And see, the wood stove has actually paid for itself because we can keep the main area that we live in toasty warm with this great moist heat. But more important than saving money, it has actually improved our lives. Having a fire simplifies life. It provides comfort. It sort of takes the chill out of winter.
I'm Peter Solak. In 1977, I started Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, and I experienced the simple joy of warming myself by a fire. I also realized that the place and the way we embrace fire has evolved in a diversity of forms and styles. So at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have brought together the widest selection of our fireplace products and technical knowledge in the Twin Cities. Our mission is to use our knowledge to help you choose the design and function that is right for you and your home.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today and find the right fire for you.
Are you dreading Monday, hating life, and living for the weekends? It might be time for some life changes. Pamela Topjian is board certified hypnotherapist at hypnobreakthrough.com, and she can help. You heard her commercial during the break, that calming, wonderful commercial, and then here I come on like a bull in a china shop. Consultations are always free, and you'll also receive a complimentary sample session to try it out. Get in touch on hypnobreakthrough.com or send a message on social media, Hypno Breakthrough or Pamela Marie Topjian. Now, welcome back to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bakken. Thank you for joining us. Our guest today is author, international UF forensic investigator, Chase Klotsky. And Chase, I don't know, I just want to welcome you to our experiment that we have going on here in the studio where I can see you for once. We haven't been able to see the guests. This is new for us. And then you can see me, lucky you. And so this is kind of the great experiment of AM 950 at the moment.
Awesome.
It sure is. You know, I'm seeing your background. It's beautiful. I have a lot of stuff here. My background over here in the studio, I've seen prison cells that have more decoration than this studio. So, you know, I guess, yes, you know, maybe we have a TV we never turn on to start with. But,
it takes time.
yeah. Well, I appreciate your positivity. So here we are. We were talking about the Battle of LA, and we were talking about the infamous weather balloon that gets around, because that seems to get everywhere in terms of what we actually are seeing in the sky. You know, I'm assuming in Arizona, when you had that big V-shape ship that so many people captured in the late 90s, I think it was. I bet that was just a weather balloon as well, huh?
Right. The Phoenix Lights. That's a great case as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's just amazing that, you know, the government cover up and stuff. And that's just kind of, you know, that's kind of a old story, I guess, because that's age old, isn't it? But when it comes to the Battle of LA, was there any wreckage found at all after that night that anyone has been able to kind of identify as part of those events?
And that's what the strange thing is. You know, there were reports from police officers saying that they saw planes getting hit and you know, crashing. The only thing they found on the ground was the munitions and debris.
But nothing from that thing in the air, though, that we just don't really know what it is.
Not that it has been reported. So, and hundreds of thousands of witnesses said that they actually saw these shells hit the object. It just didn't do anything to it. So I'm willing to think that, you know, that it's probably a true story that is all they found.
It's interesting because obviously, though, and I mean, not obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about here, but the ship got away anyway, right? I mean, they didn't take it down. They were hitting it, but it never was taken down, was it?
No, not at all. In fact, it slowly moved. It took it like 30 minutes to go, like, I don't know, 40 kilometers. Don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure it was close to that. And it literally went down to south. What do they call that? Not Newport News. It's It's south of LA. It's that big,
Sure.
big. It's right there on the shore. Anyway, it's Long Beach. Sorry, there it is, Long Beach.
Okay.
South of
Yep,
Long Beach,
yep.
it just disappeared.
Wow. It just amazes me. And it also goes to show, how time has changed, right? That even between say 1942 and 1947, just the way, I mean, I maybe I'm being harsh here because like you mentioned in the last segment, I was going to say between 1942 and 1947, you had this a very much a different approach to how people reacted to the news of either the Battle of LA or the Roswell incident. But the thing is you're right. I mean, obviously I keep underplaying the fact that there was a war going on. I mean, you can't, I mean, I'm sure you talk to anybody, most people, they would have just assumed regardless, even if you told them it might have been a UFO, I'm sure most people would have responded as, well, it's probably some enemy fire of some kind.
And we still deal with that today, with all the military coming out now that admit they've seen things they can't explain and objects that they can't deal with that are completely superior. And no one's talking about it. It's still the same thing we're dealing with today. Was just this. It's got to be foreign technology. It's got to be China. It's got to be Russia. It's got to be, and yet I'm pretty sure if they really had that technology, they wouldn't just be teasing in the sky every once in a while. I'm pretty sure they'd be dominating.
Do you think, I mean, this was a question I was going to ask because I'm very curious and I'll put my point of view out there in a second, but do you think that any sort of alien encounter that the U.S. government has is more of, if anything, it's from crashed technology opposed to any aliens actually working with the U.S. government?
Absolutely. It's from crash technology that, and we're finding out more and more through great leaders that have just kind of come out, like Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon, and these guys, Steve Justice that used to work for Skunk Works on the SR-71. So these are people with a deep knowledge, and when things are, you have to read between the lines sometimes and follow the breadcrumbs they drop. But yes, I believe. Now, it doesn't discount that it's possible that, the other side is true. I just focus on physical evidence. And that is something where I pay attention to. You've got Skinny Bob in some basement. I feel bad for Skinny Bob. I wouldn't work with these guys anymore. It's like, no.
I have this goal, this vision of a gray wearing like a general's military uniform, and that humans are saluting to it. That's what I'm hoping, that's what I'm counting on, that there is a full-on partnership. But it does seem more and more as the years pass that is not really the case, is it?
Well, there are some investigators and people that have come out, like Corso is one who says that he had interactions with the gray and helped it escape, and all this kind of stuff. But from what I'm hearing is, if these stories are true, they don't want to be here. So, are they going to be cooperative and join our military? And Queen of England, a reptilian. These are, I call them rabbit holes.
The rabbit holes are my favorite, though. But I get it. I totally get it, because there has to be a voice of like sanity, doesn't there? Instead of people like me who wants to have a reptoid in studio with me and communicate with them, right?
Oh my gosh, I spent since 1996 trying to get these things, like getting that evidence. And do I want an alien? Hell yeah, I want an alien. Yes.
We need to find our reptoid is what we need to do. Why don't we do this? Let's take another break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with author, international UFO forensic investigator Chase Klotsky. You're listening to Ghost Box Radio on AM 950.
Met Council Housing Redevelopment Authority is adding people to its waiting list for rental assistance. Rent is up to 40% of what you make, and you decide where you want to live. Sign up before June 28th at noon, as 2,000 applicants will be randomly selected for the waiting list. Go to waitlistcheck.com/metro to sign up. That's waitlistcheck.com/metro before Tuesday at noon. Again, waitlistcheck.com/metro.
Hi, my name is Pamela Topchian. I'm a former nurse, published author, and board-certified hypnotherapist with hypnobreakthrough.com. Do you feel stuck in a rut? Finding yourself wondering if this is all there is to life? Tired of just existing? Hypno Breakthrough can help you to reduce stress, release fears, gain confidence, and reach your life's goals holistically, mindfully, and gently. So I ask you, what changes would you like to see in your life? Let's talk about it. Contact me, Pamela Topchian, board-certified hypnotherapist, to schedule your free consultation, which includes a complimentary stress-reducing sample session, so you can see how it feels for yourself before any commitments are made. Go to hypnobreakthrough.com for all the information. That's hypnobreakthrough.com.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad from Wisconsin's Minocqua Brewing Company, and our progressive beer is now available in Minneapolis. Yes, you Vikings can now buy Biden Beer, Bernie Brew, AOC IPA, and Kamala, a strong vice presidential stout, without having to travel across the border. And the best news yet is that 5% of the proceeds of each beer you buy go to keeping Wisconsin blue.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get their progressive beers at Zips Liquors on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis and Top 10 Liquors in Chanhassen. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Do yourself a favor and check out the amazing cuisine of eatlocalminnesota.com. More than just a website, eatlocalminnesota.com provides you with the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France, with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us.
The next time you're out in South Minneapolis, make Nightingale off 26th and Lyndale your go-to dining option. It's a comfortable neighborhood restaurant that features a delicious menu of American classics, plus a wide drink and cocktail selection. Nightingale has dining room and bar seating available, plus takeout and delivery. Current hours are 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with the full menu until midnight. More at nightingalempls.com.
Have you been out to see our friends at Enchanted Boutique? This wonderful metaphysical store offers products such as books, candles, tarot cards, crystals, plus classes and services, and they are truly wonderful people. You can visit them at 1860 Beam Avenue, Maplewood, Minnesota, or if you don't want to go out to the store, which that's your problem, it's a great place, or if you're not in the state, you can go to their Facebook page, Enchanted Boutique MN, and also their website, enchantedboutiquemn.com. On their social media channels, I've been seeing them gearing up for some big stuff for the summer. You know, it sounds like it's going to be a great summer for them. It's going to be a great year. As always, check out the classes, check out everything they're going on. Once again, that is over at enchantedboutiquemn.com or over on Facebook, Enchanted Boutique MN. Once again, Char Savoy and myself are teaming up for another round of online paranormal classes starting July 18th. The series of classes called Paranormal Dimensions and the Supernatural, we will explore the untold reality of being a paranormal investigator. With over 20 years combined years of experience in the field, we have gathered what is helpful and what is not. We will provide insight to help you understand, explore, and experience the world of connecting with spirits from start to finish. This is a series of 5 in-depth classes that build off each other. We have gathered all you will need to use your own intuition, do research, examine evidence of all kinds, and even about the latest equipment. We will be sharing our own related experiences and evidence throughout the series to help you develop your own skills to being an empowered paranormal researcher and investigator. Also included are interviews with some of the most experienced people in the supernatural field as well. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. After completing the series of classes, you'll have an exclusive invite to a location where you will be able to take part in what you learned and use it as part of a paranormal investigation. Classes start July 18th, and you can sign up at charvinity.com under upcoming classes and events. And we're going to put a direct link on my show page this week at am950radio.com. Also, if you miss Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken Live, AM 950 replays these episodes Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, or you can listen anytime by going to Spotify or iTunes. After listening, please leave a positive review for my show. I would greatly appreciate it. We now return to our guest today, author, international UFO forensic investigator, Chase Klotsky. And after I got all that done, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore, Chase. Well, I do actually.
I think it was the flap in DC.
Well, and I'm gonna ask you something real quick. We're gonna kind of go off topic here, I think, a little bit, because one of the things that I found very interesting was a documentary, and you weren't a part of it, which it bums me out, but a documentary on Discovery Plus. It had Melissa Tittle in it, and they were talking about basically the connection between the maybe aliens visiting the Earth that are confused for paranormal activity. Have you ever looked into anything like that?
I have, and I actually have been on many paranormal investigations because I believe it's all connected. And these are things, there's very similar activities in, paranormal, UFOs, and even Bigfoot, where you get these sighting reports. And just like on Skinwalker Ranch, they see this portal open, they see this big hairy Bigfoot thing come out. But before that were strange lights. So I think this is something where we just can't dismiss one because, you don't like the other. Paranormal investigators, UFO, we don't like to mix our sciences, do we? But we need to.
That's a great answer. And that's what I've always thought, too, is basically, in my mind, in my small little mind, I've always thought to myself, you can't have one without the others. You can't, in my mind, you can't say that something exists without having at least a passing sort of respect for the other areas, I guess. That's just my thought, at least.
Correct.
So what I want to do, I'm going to switch gears on us a little bit. We're going to talk about, as you had just mentioned, talk about in 1953. So here we have, in 1942, we had the Battle of LA. We talked a little bit about Roswell, not saying that there wasn't anything in between, but kind of hitting some milestones here. But then in 1953, we had some unprecedented situation for 2 weeks in a row, 2 Saturdays in a row, that we had unidentified flying objects that broke airspace, restricted airspace around parts of Washington, D.C. What was going on there?
That's again, you have all these witnesses, thousands of witnesses. DC's always been, kind of a hub, and people walk around. It's beautiful. And, all of a sudden they see these objects, and we call them, they're just everywhere. And we call that a flap. And that is when you have many UFOs in one area with as many witnesses, telling you about this. And they also are reported in other areas. So you can imagine you're in DC, enjoying a nice, beautiful Saturday, and all of a sudden everybody's looking up, and you look up and you see these shiny disc type objects just flying over the Capitol, just, showing off, having fun.
and like, I mean, it's like, I'm going to ask questions that, obviously I know the answer to, is like, what did people think of it? Well, of course, people were probably wondering what the hell it was, or freaking out, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of reports about people like screaming and running, or, it appears from, things I've read that they were more mesmerized. They didn't feel threatened. They felt more like, what the heck is that? Like, what is going on? So, and again, most people don't think when they see something strange like that, their first thought isn't UFOs. Their first thought is enemy technology, foreign technology, secret, things that are done for us, because even our friends spy on us, right? So, I think that's probably the first thing they thought was, it's probably, terrestrial,
Was there any talk about what the Air Force would have done? I mean, what I mean by that is, like I said, it was 2 Saturdays in a row that this happened. If they came back a third Saturday, was there a plan in place, or not even a third Saturday, but a third time? Do you know of any plan in place that would have addressed the situation, I guess?
Yeah, that information's kind of getting, it's tough to get your hands on the original documents on what was the reaction. The military and Pentagon and those inside the White House and the Capitol, they're going to treat it as a threat because they don't know what it is. So surely they had things on standby. And I would imagine that, radar, there's a little more attention that way. And it could be why they didn't come back for a third Saturday is, it's like, okay, guys.
Yeah. I mean, and two, if I'm not mistaken, I might get the name wrong. Wasn't it General Samford that he had a press conference around that time or something, talking about the people are seeing more and more of this stuff in the skies. And it was just making me wonder if there was if that was kind of that perception, UFO perception was kind of getting out of control in the US in terms of how they maybe people were criticizing the government of maybe a lack of general information.
Yeah, and it's hard to investigate UFOs, trust me. I've been doing it for a long time because you're usually after the fact, and very, very seldom do you become part of a report. It happens, but it's seldom. And I can imagine that, honestly, this is, I just really think that this is probably one of the biggest things because now you're in the Capitol and 2 Saturdays in a row. The government's running out of excuses. How many times are you going to use a weather balloon? Right? Yeah. How many times are you going to say there was nothing, when you have thousands or hundreds and thousands of witnesses? So, I think it's just getting a little tiresome. So what they do is they just button up and they don't answer any questions or try to give you any answers at all.
So with that being said, do you think that that the U.S. government handles those questions better now, for lack of a better term, better? Because it certainly feels like, at the time that this was all happening, the government kind of had its pants down, so to speak, because this is kind of a new sort of era. But, over the last, 70 years, they've been able to put processes or like the Majestic Group or whatever into place to kind of now put it together. Do you think that they're much more skilled at it now than they were back then?
Nope. I really don't. And a lot of that has to do with Lou Elizondo when he came out and he ran the UFO program at the Pentagon for just a little bit of time. And they weren't listening. Like, he had access to everything. And you just had these people within there that just were not going to let this be, or they thought it was stop putting out the narrative of UFOs. These are demons. We're in, these are demons. These are vehicles. These are vehicles coming in that are prophesized in, the Bible. And, it just is crazy. But until we have full set of eyes and, transparency through freedom of information, and transparency from our government, they know a lot, but who's keeping these secrets, right? Like, is it in Congress? Is it like a special group in a military? No, I think it's all compartmentalized. And we have this like little group that kind of handles everything and controls the narrative. So, and the other thing is the government keeps these secrets, but let's not forget, they're not saying anything either. They're not telling us what's going on. They're not giving us cure for cancer or helping with the brutalities down. I really do think, like President Reagan said, that I wonder how humanity would come together, knowing that we're now one species. And, so I kind of wonder who's really responsible for the secrets.
That's a real interesting point. I mean, I'm going down a rabbit hole. Okay. Put up a big sign that says rabbit hole. But do you think that that's one of the reasons for maybe any sort of lack of communication about aliens from any country, because that might be something that unites humanity more than anything else?
Yeah, I can't think of personally much else that would unite us as humans and, just be a species that supports each other, because there's plenty out there. So, but I think we're childish, and, you have to wonder, is it that they're keeping secrets because they get to do what they want and nobody's going to stop them? Or are we just ants that, like, I'm not going to bother an anthill because I can walk in that jungle all I want. The ants aren't going to do anything about it. So there's so many different levels that you can think about why they're not interacting with us as a whole. And nothing else than, those ships to come in and they're good. And I'm going to tell you that I personally don't believe that's true. I don't believe it's all going to be love and light. I really don't. I think just like humans, you've got good ones, you got bad ones, you got, and I don't believe it's just aliens. Sure, we can have angels and demons. Why does it have to be just one category? Is it just a ghost, or is it just residual, or, you know what I'm saying? It's just, no, absolutely. We have to keep an open mind that these are mysteries, and we have to treat them like mysteries.
Absolutely. Why don't we do this? Let's take our final break. When we come back, we're going to finish our conversation with author, international UFO forensic investigator, Chase Klotsky. You're listening to Ghost Box Radio on AM 950. Metaphysical means different things to different people, and the friendly and knowledgeable staff at Enchanted Boutique in Maplewood will assist you through your journey. You'll be welcomed with positive energy and amazed at the large selection and variety of crystals, locally crafted products, books, and so many other metaphysical supplies. Visit Enchanted Boutique's brand new expanded location in Maplewood at 1860 Beam Avenue across from Maplewood Mall. Everyone at Enchanted Boutique is ready to assist with your personal spiritual journey.
Hi, this is Ken Hageland, host of Living Healthy and Aging Well, inviting you to listen to our live call-in talk show airing every Saturday from noon to 1, where we talk about your health and your life and provide insights you need to know to live and age well. Each week, we talk with guests who provide answers to important questions regarding healthcare, elder care, end-of-life care, and self-care for caregivers, and help you and your loved ones plan for the future and enjoy your highest quality of life today. Please join us every Saturday from noon to 1 on AM 950 for Living Healthy and Aging Well.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster and speaker Freddie Bell.
Freddie, this generation of the baby boomers, people are living longer, so the baby boomers are taking care of elderly parents.
Let's talk about your health, and specifically, let's talk about Medicare. Our show features the concerns of America's 78 million baby boomers in employment, finance, health and nutrition, and even entertainment.
Join us for New Beginnings, Saturday mornings at 11, brought to you in part by Vision Loss Resources.
Do you believe in ghosts? Ever wondered if aliens from other planets visit the Earth? Have you ever thought about whether Bigfoot is real? My name is Greg Bakken, and on my new show, Ghost Box Radio, we'll have these conversations about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, or just the unusual, bringing together guests who are experts in these fields. Join me every Sunday at 4 p.m. for Ghost Box Radio with Greg Bakken on AM 950, even if you're a skeptic.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow this summer, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
And word came through this week about the untimely passing of author, journalist, and friend Gerard Williams. Gerard is known for his research on Adolf Hitler's escape from Nazi Germany in 1945, which culminated in the book Grey Wolf, The Escape of Adolf Hitler, and his appearances on the History Channel's TV series Hunting Hitler. Next week on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bach, and I'm going to replay our episode with him as guest, which aired only this past May. And who would have thought that he was not going to come back on for his next appearance, which we were already talking about. He was really excited to come back on. So, we unfortunately, when we had him on in May, we had some technical difficulties and he didn't really come through very strong because he was over in the UK and we're having some problems connecting. So I'm going to clean up the audio this week. So hopefully that you get to hear everything he had to say. It was a fantastic episode. He's a fantastic person. He's going to be very much missed, but we're going to replay that episode next Sunday. So please check it out. What he had to say was absolutely fascinating. For our final segment, we return to our guest today, author, international UFO forensic investigator, Chase Klotsky. And it's such an interesting conversation about, the fact that you got to think there's going to be a period of time that we are going to find out a lot more. And, I just wanted to ask you, Chase, that, was it last year that we had that report that was released that they were giving some really, and I'm in quotes, like really some good information on what's been happening in terms of UFO sightings and stuff. What did you think about that report?
You're talking about the one that came from Congress?
Exactly, yes.
Or the report that came from the group that's now investigating UFOs. It's you almost wonder, it's like, why do you not have a UFO investigator with decades on your staff? I mean, these are things that they don't have a background. And when they were testifying in front of Congress, they would ask them a question about a well-known UFO event. And they're just like, well, I have no information on that. I have no idea. And they just seemed like they just had no interest whatsoever to even be there. And, if you don't have a passion for this stuff and, have a little fire in your gut and maybe be a door kicker every once in a while, you're just not going to bring anything new to the table. Right. So if nothing else, I hope that these guys and these generals or whatever, at least open some of the files and open some of the things that we know are there. We can't have them yet. So I think that's a good place to start. And then we finish pushing them on more transparency and more interaction with our lawmakers.
I feel like that is something that is key. There is that transparency, because I remember that there was a podcast. I can't remember. This is the level of quality of information I give out. There's a podcast. I don't remember which one, with a guest. I don't remember who he was, but talking about UFOs, and he just said, listen, this footage that they're releasing, that night vision footage from an air fighter that was, really tracking this thing. I think it was from 2017 or something like that. And I think it started to really make the rounds last year. Something like that. Yeah. And he said, just think about this though. I mean, they're treating it like new, but it was many years, pretty much many years ago by the time we get to see. And I understand the implications of classification, but you got to wonder too. It's like, are they just throwing us little tidbits of stuff to maybe that some of us will shut up, or is there actually going to be or is it actually like, yeah, this is really all we do have? I mean, I would love to believe that they're being transparent, but I don't think anybody thinks that they're being transparent.
Well, and to their benefit or to their credit, sometimes they can't, because what happens if we're showing like this amazing radar footage? Russia doesn't know we're capable of that type of radar. So we have to be really cognitive of ways and means. And so I get that as far as the secrecy. But there's so much more that they can do to put out there. And, I just love that right now, if you see something, say something. Now, the military is asking pilots, and even just any military, if you see something weird, you need to report it, because they're serious about the national security of things in our airspace. And we don't know what they want, who they are, and or even what they're capable of. So, this is a huge step, something I never thought I would ever in my lifetime see. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty stoked about the future of it. But I do realize there's going to be things that will be held back.
Well, and it makes me feel good. Someone as yourself, who I respect in the field, and someone who I'm going to know is going to be, who's very actively wanting things to be good. That if you're feeling good about it, then it helps me feel good about it as well. Switching gears real fast, we have less than 2 minutes left, and I wanted to take a moment to ask you, how can people reach out to you, or get your book, or anything else that you want to kind of share with us about yourself?
I'm really big on Twitter. I love Twitter. There's a hashtag UFO Twitter, and I spend so much time there. And if you follow me, I'd like to follow you back. So, and if I don't, because I don't always see everybody who follows, then just, give me that little message in that private DM, and I'll follow you right away. Because I think this is a conversation that's worth having. I'm on Facebook. I don't use that very much anymore, but Twitter, absolutely. I'm there all the time. And it's just Chase Klitsky. So that's my handle over there. My book is on Amazon. We have a second edition. So the first edition, somebody told me it's selling for like $240. That's not the one for sale. It's like $20, and it's a manual on how to investigate paranormal, UFOs, and any kind of unknown creatures, because there's only one way to investigate, and that's following the Department of Justice protocols.
That's really interesting. The idea that, you can put a standard, like not to use it's not the gold standard that you're talking about, or I'm assuming not, at least, but there is a standard of how that all works. And I think that's a really wise way of looking at it. And we had talked about, before the show, we had talked about, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, we're using the same protocols as, a cop or a police officer, investigating a murder or robbery or an insurance claim. There are certain things that you just, if you want admissibility, and if you want to hand your client or, your person a file worthy, then we have to follow these protocols.
Absolutely. This is great. Chase Klitsky is an active leader in UFO and ancient artifact investigation. We've been very, very blessed to have you on, and we only scratched the surface. We talked earlier about having her back on to talk about all the other things she's doing. Chase, thank you so very much for joining me today.
Absolutely. You rock, Mista.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Check out the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis on